We're back up. All right, everybody, welcome back. We are here. All right, so I have some notes. I'm just going to keep it. I'm also just going to make sure I pronounce everybody's name correctly. So yes, thank you guys for hanging around. Thank you to everybody who's hopefully rejoining the live stream. My name is Frank. I think in some ways I'm probably the last person that should be moderating this panel, just not from the continent, but I have paid attention to a lot of what is happening in Bitcoin circular economies. But anyway, I'm with Bitcoin Magazine and Forbes. For Forbes in particular, I document a lot of the work that's happening in these circular economies. So all the way over to the left, we have Humphrey, please help me out. Humphrey Simwinga, decent pronunciation? Okay. I appreciate it. I was talking with Ronnie all last night, and I didn't ask him about the pronunciation for his last name. So, Ronnie Mdawida? Not even close. Thank you. I call him Kofi, so Mawufemor, Kofi, Folivi. Perfect. Excellent. And Naomi Wambui. My apologies. Okay. So, let's just start with a brief overview of, if you could just quickly share where you're running a circular economy, the country, the jurisdiction within the country, just as an overview for everybody.
Hi, my name is Naomi Wambui. I'm the founder of Bitcoin Babies. So Bitcoin Babies is a project that works with moms with kids under the age of 1. Our primary focus being infant nutrition, but we use Bitcoin also as a tool of empowerment. And we also, as part of Bitcoin Babies, we give the moms $5 weekly. So this is to kind of foster enhanced learning and also kind of create an immediate impact. These sats the moms can use either to buy essentials for their babies. And for us to make this easy, we have onboarded more than 10 merchants where the moms can easily just spend with the Bitcoin without needing to exchange it on an exchange. So we have also other parts of our program where we have a book we give the mom. So it's kind of a guided book tailored for Kenyan women where it makes like that journey easy for you, because we have provided a lot of resourceful information about the first year of your child's life. So that is basically what we do.
I'm Mawufemor Kofi Folivi from Ghana, Bitcoin Dua. We run Bitcoin circular economy, and also we have Bitcoin Education Center, where the young people at school going age comes to learn Bitcoin, and also we reward them in sats, which they spend with the merchants onboarded. We having so far 20 merchants in our community. That's Agbozume, and so far so good. It's been good. And these kids actually do not only learn about Bitcoin, but we also use the opportunity for them to learn coding, which we believe is the future for us in a local community. And with that, we could go far. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ronnie Mdawida from Afribit. Afribit Kibera is a pilot project. And we are running a circular economy in Kibera. Our main focus right now is on with the waste management groups that we are working with. Every weekend they earn some sats, but alongside that we are also building on other pillars of the circular economy to make it more sustainable. But we currently have 40 plus merchants, and we are growing. We are also partnering with the core and other players in doing the education. Thank you.
My name is Humphrey. I'm from Zambia. I'm the co-founder of Bitcoin Victoria Falls. So this is a secular Bitcoin economy, and what we focus on is education and onboarding new merchants to start accepting Bitcoin. Yeah, I could say our ultimate goal is for people to exit fiat. Yeah, I think just a short background, I could say our country has been experiencing double-digit inflation for the longest period of time. Yeah, so people's lives are like, the standard of living is getting bad every year. So we see Bitcoin as that hope, that light. Yeah, so thank you.
All All right. To make it, let's do it easier or this way. So we'll just start with Naomi next to me. We've seen a lot of people presenting on Bitcoin circular economies, the projects that they're working on. A lot of them happen to be men. So as a woman in this space running a Bitcoin circular economy, do you feel like there are any other challenges? I've seen you post a lot about sort of the respect that you have for programs like Bitcoin Dada, program for African women. Is there any difference based on being a female or male leader as you're developing this sort of economy?
Okay, at the start I was really unsure about getting into the Bitcoin space because for me I'm not a technical person, I'm more focused on community building. But I feel like the space nowadays is more open and there actually is something for everyone, so any person can just come in and try to participate. And I feel like for females, we are really important to also bring in more females other than leaving it like something that looks like it's only for the geeks, which is at the moment, but we are still trying to change that further. But otherwise, I haven't experienced any challenges because also my partner is a long-time Bitcoin enthusiast and has really guided me to navigate the Bitcoin space.
Sorry, I wish I could just yell the questions. I'll go right down the line. Kofi, I think it was, I came to visit Bitcoin Dua at the end of 2023 after the African Bitcoin conference. It was a special moment for me too. I lived in Ghana, in the same region of Ghana where Bitcoin Dua is located, a few hours north though. It was opening day. There wasn't much to it yet, and you've turned it into this bustling, unbelievable circular economy. You're winning awards at the African Bitcoin conference. Please tell us your secret. Tell everybody your secret to how to run such a successful Bitcoin circular economy so quickly.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. I think to be able to be trusted by a community, it means you've done something that they believe in you and give you that trust. So we are actually building on trust that we've built over the years. And that have really made everything easy and possible for us and making us to like achieve that much in a short while. So the secret has been that trust we built with the community. And I think we keep building the trust and they keep believing us and we keep moving.
Quick follow-up. I think a lot of people here, I think a lot of people in these places, there has been, I think a lot of people have established trust, but also I feel like between the coding program and everything else you're running, I'm just genuinely curious, like where do you personally find the time for as much as you've launched in such a short period of time? Has it been a lot to manage on just a mental level?
Okay, thank you. I think we've built things in the mind for over 20 years without having resources. We have the intention, this is our picture, this is the dream we have, this is where we want to be. So Bitcoin only came in to give us that cushion that can actually make that dream a reality. So that made it simple and easy for us to just jump into it. And so we knew where we wanted to go and we had the resources and we just started.
Appreciate that. Ronnie, I think like Kofi, you've done community work for a long time. Kofi, I think you have, 2 decades experience doing community type work. Ronnie, you as well. I just visited Afribit Kibera. It's amazing what you're doing. I think to start with sort of a broad question here. So Kibera, for those who don't know, is the largest informal settlement, one of the largest in the world, the largest in Africa. I guess another term for informal settlement is slum, though I don't really like that term. When most people looking in, especially traditional NGOs and people who have no idea what Bitcoin is, when they're looking in saying, why would you even think to start incorporating something like Bitcoin into a situation like that, what would you tell them?
Thank you. I think for us, we also had the long-term relationship, like Kofi, but the passion came from the many conversations that we had with the youths. Despite being able, to get ID cards, there was a lot of labeling, you know. If your ID read like you came from Kibera, you are sort of like limited to a lot of opportunities and stuff. And hanging out with those guys like really inspired us, you know, and to explore like what is these mechanisms that are not centralized, like, you know, that they could plug into. And that's where we started the conversation, like, you know, around Bitcoin. And even though we had the long-term, you know, like relationship, there was a lot of scamming going on around Kenya, around Bitcoin issues. So some people are a bit elusive, but then the youths that we stuck with, and they started seeing like, you know, the value. And what we realized actually with the informal settlement is there's that inner push, like, you know, for freedom. They really want to push for freedom because they feel they are really, really like, you know, grounded and stuff. So when they get a tool that they feel like, you know, they can express themselves, and this is a tool of inclusion. This is a tool of sovereignty. I like to say, like, one of the youths who was sharing, and he was like, I think then Biden was still in power, and he was like, so you mean if Biden has a wallet and his Bitcoin goes up, mine also goes up, you know? So they like that kind of vibe, and that was really connecting with them. But we found it was a tool that could literally push for that financial inclusion, despite there being a lot of KYC issues. For those who have gone to these informal settlements, you will understand, yes, you need to get an ID, but they will ask you for your birth certificate, they'll ask you for your living certificate. If you come from the Lake regions or any area near the border, they will still ask you from, you know, like to go for a special vetting committee so you could get some of those things. And a lot of people do lose hope on that. And there's a decent number that we work with in the West Management Group who are actually not plugged into any of those tools. And if you ask most of those guys how they got their documentation is probably an NGO came and they said like, hey, look, we want you guys to organize yourselves. We're going to give you a grant, but you need to have a bank account. So they would do anything, even if it is going through the back door, you know, like to get some of those documentation. But financial inclusion was the key motivating factor for us. Yeah.
A quick follow-up question as well. I've lived in similar places to Kibera. I lived in the version of that in Venezuela, so they call them barrios in Venezuela. I've done a lot of international human aid work and rights work around the world. I'm just kind of curious if I know you have a lot of experience with this as well. If I've never seen something sort of serve as a catalyst the way that Bitcoin does. So oftentimes it feels like when you do this work, you're just putting a Band-Aid on things, or you're not actually changing the structure of something. Given all of the work you've done, do you feel like this work with Bitcoin is something different? Do you see it animate people sort of in a different way? In your mind, do you sort of classify it as not altogether different, but something that really does that sense of fostering that sense of financial autonomy? Does that make you think this will sort of carry on even without your involvement one day?
Thank you, Frank. And yes, I do see that picture. It is a work in the progress, but we do have a lot of people who are buying the vision. And for us, what we've been doing is mostly like, you know, empowering the youths. Our key target has mainly been the youths who are the future for these particular communities. And we have really invested in like mentoring them, teaching them, and making sure like, you know, they're the ones who are running the show. So you'll find what we have is we do specialized sessions, let's say with like the border riders guys. We would have a session with those because those are the guys who are in the streets every day and they can carry the message across. So once we onboarded them and you realize like it takes normally about like 2 sessions, maybe of 3 hours, but we made a personal commitment. I would invite them, you know, to my own home. We would have maybe lunch, 2 hours, 2 or 3 of them, and we have a one-on-one sessions and invite them to come back. And by doing that, you continue building the trust because most of these guys are younger and they were not even in the space when we were doing like, you know, the NGO work, and they have a lot of that mentality of like things are status quo and things needs to change. But by seeing this is not charity, but it is a form of like a tool, that is empowering them. We are seeing like sort of like a new generation being molded. And we do have some of our peers and slightly older people who we've also been engaging with. And they are also starting to buy in, like, they're like, I've toiled, like my entire life, like, from hand to mouth. And here I am, like, I had these certs, like, a few months ago. And so you're telling me, like, maybe in the next few years, like, this could be something. So there are those who see it in that way, and they plug in because of that. And some of them are doing that, like I know a 52-year-old guy who we've been having a lot of sessions with him, and now he's onboarding his peers, whom initially would look at us and they would be like, no, we're not sure about this thing, like, But he's seeing the value, and he's the one out there actually asking the guys, like, can I buy your certs, some of those guys. So he's looking for a peaceful retirement. But these guys are also like, the women especially, like one merchant was like, this is for my kids. My daughter is 3 years old, and I want to save this, like for her school fees. If it goes down, I'm going down with you. I trust you.
I appreciate that. I want to put a pin in that. I want to come back to that idea to Naomi in just a second. But Humphrey, I want to come to you. As I was doing some research on you for this, you're a nuclear engineer. That's that's impressive to say the least. So you have this skill that probably pays very well. I would imagine you could go and get a very good job just doing that. Why get involved with the community and start a Bitcoin circular economy? What was the impetus for you?
Yeah, so I studied nuclear engineering in Russia, and I graduated in 2021. Yeah, so initially I was supposed to be working for the government, but the government has some issues. We had to stop the thing, the project and all that. Yeah, but while I was in school, I'd started a small business online. In fact, that's what I do. So I thought, okay, if I can continue doing this and stacking sats, I think it's okay. So, and then that's when now the idea for building a circular economy came. So, okay, maybe this can be my life purpose. That's where the thing is. But the motivation behind this is, there was a time when I was thinking, when I was just getting to studying the financial market, I was looking at the S&P 500, the Magnificent Seven, and I thought, okay, what if I can start buying some of the shares into these companies? But being a Zambian, I discovered that it's almost impossible to buy into these companies. Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people use Google, use Facebook, use Apple products, NVIDIA products in their computers, but they can't buy part of these companies. So it frustrated me a lot. Yeah, and then Bitcoin came. I said, okay, maybe this is something that we're all looking for. So I look at Bitcoin as the great equalizer. So anyone in the world, literally, even me, just a boy in Zambia, can have a part of something that's going to become the future of money. So that really excited me. And I'm really proud to be part of this evolution. Yeah, so that's my motivation.
Amazing stuff. I'm going to come back to the point you just made there. Naomi, teaching women about this, a lot of whenever I interview people, a lot of people say they're more optimistic, and they're optimistic because now they believe their children will have a better future. So working with these mothers, I mean, is it literally something that improves their mental health? Is Bitcoin something that really makes them feel more passionate about being a mother, more optimistic about their children's futures? What is the experience like for most of the women that you work with?
So I would say at the beginning, most of them did not really see how Bitcoin is going to improve their lives. We have really educated them and gotten to we have really focused on educating them and showing them that you can use Bitcoin to really store the value of the little money we all have. And I have a lot of women who are also entrepreneurs. meaning they run small businesses, small micro enterprises, and you can see they are benefiting a lot, like from small and low cost transactions. And I would say like there are a lot of hurdles for women, especially African women, when you're trying to participate in the financial world. And through Bitcoin, these women are able to actually open an account. I would like to give a story. Like recently, we asked one of the moms if she was spending the Bitcoin we were giving her in the circular economy. And the story she told us that she, for herself, she does not spend on any of the money she receives, because this is an opportunity for her to really have some money for herself and actually save for her kids' future. And I would maybe point out other stories, like for which were unfortunate. You see, there could be a woman who wants to participate, but you feel like the husband has this notion that, okay, this money should be sent to me and not to my wife. Other stories, we have also seen how like we started grants. So we give these mothers small grants in US dollars, like 150. So we gave it to a woman who had an opportunity to work as a driver, but she never had a license. So she used this money and actually got a driving license, which is something good. It shows how much Bitcoin is capable of changing people's lives. And we also had another woman who used to wash actually clothes for people for her to make a living. And we gave her a grant, and she also opened a kiosk. To say like maybe you're familiar with Kibera, but there are other communities that in Kenya that are just a little bit of an upgrade from Kibera. It's just that you're not living in the slum, but you're still living on the same level of income of, let's say, $100 a month, and managing that can really be difficult, and even keeping your family running, because I have women who are single mothers of 4, and that woman really has to survive on less than $100 a month. So, yeah, so Bitcoin is offering them new opportunities. You can show them how they, for that small value they have.
Amazing. Yeah. Super cool. Kofi, you tag me in a lot of pictures. I see kids. I see kids coding. I see people learning about Bitcoin and all this stuff. But I think on that note, I would love to hear maybe some of the bigger success stories. I think it's inspiring, I think, to hear maybe 1 or 2 situations where Bitcoin has very tangibly changed someone's life like that, getting them stability to pay for their, now they can drive and start a business because of it. Is there anything that comes to mind in terms of successes within the community?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think, let me start with the merchants that we have onboarded. Most of the merchants do not spend their money or their Bitcoin, so they kept it. And luckily for all of us, they entered a bull market, and they had a great experience that they started looking for more of the Bitcoin to buy now. Even before I traveled, one of them came to me, they want to buy Bitcoin. Because the value of it now, it's not, and the gain is not now only about Bitcoin, but when you keep the Bitcoin and you also want to convert, you have to go to USDT. And from the USDT to the local currency, you also have a gain there. So it's like everything that you are keeping, whether in Bitcoin or USDT, like there is a gain. So they now love it to have Bitcoin without touching it. And they do not really care whether it comes down or like it goes up. So this is a story. And we also had an experience of going into the open market to spend Bitcoin, to see how generally all locals in the normal local market will feel like. So we had a market called Kente Market. That's what they use for stores or sachets that they put on the net. So we went into the market, we went with Bitcoin. So we do have merchants from Cote d'Ivoire that comes to buy in Ghana. So in the market, we decided that it is the locals that actually weave and sells to the Cote d'Ivoire people, but they have agents. So we took the Bitcoin I gave it to the agents, that, okay, we are going to buy the kente with Bitcoin. And the discussion is that if you want that agent to buy for you, you have to accept Bitcoin. So we created wallet for them, and they all sell that day. And we also have a vendor that wants to buy Bitcoin. So you go and you make your withdrawal there. So you buy, they buy from you, they pay you in Bitcoin. Someone is ready to like receive the Bitcoin and give you the local currency. There was a fortunate and unfortunate situation for two of the weavers who we paid in Machankura. So they were unable to withdraw their money that day. And the next day, they happened to have about 10% of a 10% increment on what they were having. Then that also changed their story. Then they began bringing people that they want to know more about Bitcoin. So that short while that the money is there or the Bitcoin is there shows that you can actually have enough when you keep it. So that actually changed our story, and it is making the adoption and acceptability more easier for us, and we are not stressing it at all.
Number go up is good marketing, right? We like when the number goes up. But so I want to go to you on the next question, Ronnie. I shared a piece I wrote with one of your co-founders, Yogi, on the Motive circular economies throughout Peru. I think they have like 14. Motive is a great system. Vale, who does a lot of the work on the ground there, has talked about how much fun it's not when the price goes down and everyone starts calling you a scammer and why is it going down. So this is, I know maybe some people don't believe this. They just think we're going to the moon forever now that we're in a bull market. This is inevitable. So as you're working in one of these circular economies, you're obviously going to onboard some people near a local top. How do you deal with that? In your mind, how do you sort of mitigate that downside that will eventually come?
Thank you. I think on our education, what we normally try and prioritize is people to look at the SATs and not the other way around. Like, you know, and the more they get to understand, like, you know, how Bitcoin works, they actually start realizing, like, when they bought something, when they look at the value of SATs, when they bought that, and they compare maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, they actually realize there's a lot more value, like, you know, in the SAT. So those small examples are the ones that we are trying to show them. But also there's a lot of, you know, like education going on. But the fact that we assure them, like, it's limited supply, you know, at the end of the day, this is what is going to happen. If you are a merchant, you know, there are some apps that, you know, can secure you and against the volatility and everything. So, yes, stable sats, and yes. So they're able, like, you know, to use some of that and then push whatever they want to save on the other side, yeah. Or just leave it there.
That's helpful. And then also, while you have the mic, just successes. They were sharing some success stories. Love to hear this stuff.
I think one of the success stories that we're looking at, it's the women wanting to save more, but there is also the issue of recycling and the business accelerator programs that we are looking at. We're just looking at the program very wholesomely in a way that we can empower these merchants. So recently we embarked on knowing our clients, though we know them, but we want to hear from them, you know, their needs, what is going to help them improve, because the merchants are the key, you know, to driving, like, the circular economies. But again, we need to empower the groups. So like the waste management groups, what have we done? We've plugged them into workshops that they did not know about. We are in the process of, you know, helping secure some support for them just so that their recycling program is also like a circular economy on its own. And this came from them. They are interested actually in having, you know, the recyclables even if they sell in fiat, they want to convert some of that fiat, like into sats, so that it's more sustainable. So we are building on the accelerator programs to see how that can be more sustainable, on its own. But apart from that, also we do see a lot of enthusiasm, specifically with the younger guys and the women, and there's interest, for a lot of people wanting to learn more. We just don't want to onboard a merchant because they're accepting Bitcoin. We want them to know what Bitcoin is, and we are seeing the value with that is they're able to go and onboard other merchants, very successfully. So we say 40, but I won't lie, it could be more, because someone will come and say hey, I onboarded my nail person, the women where they go to do their nails and stuff. So for us, it's important, they get the right kind of education. And then from there, now we're able to pick up with people like Felix and others, in proper sessions, just a bit to ascertain, yes, it has gone deep, but we feel that has more impact once they get better education and they're actually helping us in the program.
I have to share this quick story that I'm going to go back to Humphrey. Whenever I hear people talk about women in Bitcoin, it's funny. On my podcast, I had two of the Bitcoin dadas on as guests, and the voice I keep hearing in my head, one of them said something like, women have money. And now that they have Bitcoin as a tool to save, they may take over the world. So just keep that in mind, everybody. Humphrey, I don't have all the details on this, but I wanted to ask you. I think you said 96% of your expenses were paid in Bitcoin. Now I don't know if that's for the circular economy or how that works, but again, I just wanted to maybe hear a little bit more about what operating on a Bitcoin standard looks like practically. Sometimes it seems that maybe accounting can be kind of tricky when you have something that's sort of volatile in fiat terms. How do you approach that, and then how do you deal with it? And then also, while you have the mic, just a success from your community as well.
Yeah, so about 96% of our expenses are all paid for in Bitcoin, but it wasn't like this, of course. So when we started, maybe I should just mention some of our main expenses. Yeah, so when we started our circular economy, I used to live in another city, so there was a travel expense. There was that, so I had to move from one city to the other every week. And then there was also the craft we were renting and also the material that we were printing. All that stuff needed to be paid for in Bitcoin. So for me, of course, I'm a Bitcoiner, so expenses I could get the sats and then use my fiat kind of situation. So that was accounted for in Bitcoin. And then there was a part of paying the rentals for the crash owner. So initially we were paying for it in fiat, but after he sat in the first crash, he changed his mind, although initially he thought it was a scam in the beginning. Yeah, and then for the workbook and the stuff that we print, we used to teach people, that we used to pay for it in fiat, but after one of the guys was who attended the class had a business which prints stuff, so we just use him. So I could say that's where we ended up to like 96% of our expenses in Bitcoin. Yeah, and then coming to some of our success stories, I could say when we first had our first cohort, it was last year in March, we had 3 guys actually. For them, they came for the class, but in reality they came to test because they were sure it was a scam. Yeah, so they came with a lot of questions. Initially, what they thought is at the end of the day, I'll tell them, you have to invest this, how much money you'll be getting. So they wanted to catch me on that, something like that. Yeah, so I could say right now I'm proud to say that these are the strongest 3 guys, the strongest member of the community. And one of them joined the team actually as a merchant adoption manager to be helping onboarding. So this is one of the success stories. And of course, I mentioned about the class owner. He was also skeptical because he wasn't sure. Some of his friends were telling him that don't give these guys the opportunity to do the stuff in you because you may find yourself behind bars. Yeah, and then another notable one is recently we started building a website. One of our community member offered to do the website for our project, but requested to be paid in Bitcoin. So that's also something interesting. So I could say we are noting that people are learning, and it's making sense to a lot of people. And the first quote, specifically because we also share some sats with our graduates, people graduate as a gift. When the price doubled, because they started in March, and there the price was like 50, 55, somewhere there. It doubled. People were calling me, some of them, and say, okay, what's happening? My money doubled and all that. I mean, I'll just tell them, you need to hold though.
Amazing. It's great to hear all these stories. As I said, I've done similar work around the world for years, and the story of the Bitcoin circular economies globally is one of the most beautiful stories, I think, in the history of humanity. It's truly a remarkable thing. I think what often is underestimated, and I asked some of the speakers earlier questions, is the emotional toll. It is not easy to play the role that any of you are playing, people like Brendan, other people who who do this on the ground, who are the face of it, because of course you'll be the scammer at some point, you'll be this, you'll be that. So just wanted to say thank you. It's amazing to have visited some of these. I plan to visit more over time. Looking forward to being in Bitcoin Nikasi for the first time. And thank you guys for taking the time to do this today. It was a pleasure to be with all of you.